We begin with President Moon's busy schedule. His three-day schedule for the G20 Osaka summit began with talks with Chinese leader Xi Jinping on North Korea. Among the key issues discussed was Xi's recent visit to Pyongyang. For more, let's bring in Arirang's Park Hee-jun, who is now at the South Korea Press Center in Osaka. Hee-jun, fill us in.
Sure. President Moon met with Chinese President Xi Jinping for around 40 minutes, ending at around 6:20 p.m. local time. And as expected, their talks focused on advancing the process of permanent peace and denuclearization on the Korean Peninsula. You mentioned this, but the meeting is especially significant given Xi's recent visit to Pyongyang, where he met North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and discussed ways to further the two countries' partnership and maintain cooperation in nuclear negotiations. Take a listen to the two presidents.
지난주 주승리 취임 후 처음으로 북한을 방문하고 김정은 위원장과 회담한 등은 한반도의 완전한 비핵화와 항구적인 평화 정착을 위해 건설적인 역할과 기회를 해주고 계신 데 대해서 감사드립니다. 오늘 주승리로부터 방북 결과를 직접 볼 수 있는 그런 뜻깊게 생각합니다. 오늘 주승리과의 회담을 통해 말씀하신 대로 한국과 모든가 한반도 및 영내 평화 번영을 위한 힘을 강화하기 위해서 시도를
China will push to advance bilateral ties with South Korea and contribute to maintaining peace and security in the region.
And after getting a better idea of Kim Jong-un's stance regarding nuclear talks, the South Korean president hopes to use that to better facilitate dialogue between Pyongyang and Washington. And that will begin with a summit with U.S. President Donald Trump in Seoul this weekend.
And Hee-jun, this is just one of the many diplomatic meetings to come. Tell us more about the rest of President Moon's schedule.
Right, so he's scheduled to hold face-to-face talks with his counterparts from Canada and Indonesia, as well as shorter meetings with the leaders of Argentina, the Netherlands, and India. But he's also scheduled to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin before heading back home Saturday. This is another important meeting to look out for because, as you may recall, Putin also met with Chairman Kim in Vladivostok back in April. President Moon may also be briefed on that summit, particularly on stands. Now, as for the possibility of talks between South Korea and Japan, there are no planned meetings as of now, but President Moon made it clear that he is open to last-minute arrangements to resolve the bilateral disputes over forced Korean laborers during the Japanese colonial era. So depending on Tokyo's decision, there may or may not be an informal meeting. I'll keep an eye on that and the other meetings from Osaka.